I want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is my real test, to train them is my cause. I will travel across the land, searching far and wide, each Pokemon to understand. Taz Mir Chronicles! The podcast we follow two first-time readers, Justin and Sheta, and we chronicle their journey through Brand Sanderson's cosmic series. On today's episode, we'll be chronicling the Stormlight Archive, Words of Radiance, chapters 13 through 17. So now let's throw it over to the host of Cosmic Chronicles. This is Joe! Thank you, Joe. Yep, everyone, welcome back. As you know, Cosmic Chronicles, starting the same way we always do. My name's Joe, and I'm joined once again by Justin and Sheta.
Good evening, everyone, or morning.
Yep, they're there. So, let's just get this started. And with our random question. So last time, before we took our break, I told everyone at the end of the episode, go read something that you'll regret reading. So we'll continue that with our question for all of us here will be, what's something that you've read that you have regretted reading?
I guess I'll go first. I was kind of told to read this, but I regret reading it instead of pretending I did like the rest of my classmates. And that was Kite Runner. I think we were told, I don't know if you're in the same boat or if you know, but that it was autobiographical and that it was based on a true story, and everyone had to read it. And it just really traumatized me to have to read that. That was like one of the first kind of like grown-up books I ever read, and I did not like reading it. And to find out later that the parts that traumatized me were not real, it felt really betrayed by my teacher and stuff. It's semi-autograph, it's based off of the writer's life, like kind of, but the stuff that happened like was just made up. And it just really scarred me, and I wish I didn't read it, and I wish I didn't have to. So
it's because it scarred you and you got lied to that the world had whatever. I've never read it, but whatever was in there all these years. Is that it?
yeah, I'm just like, why did you do that to little Sheta? Like, I just, if I knew, I would be like, don't worry about it. Like if I was gonna get scarred for something, I wish it was a good book. That's it.
All right. Mine is New 52 Future's End, which was a weekly series trying to be like Countdown and 52. 52, which is great. Countdown, which sucks, but even though it sucks, I still think it was fine to read. But New 52's Future's End was supposed to be DC's New 52, and they rebooted the universe, but like 5 or 10 years or whatever later in the future, and everything's getting all horrible and apocalyptic. And I'm like, hey, that sounds pretty cool. And I start reading it, and after like 10 issues, nothing's happened. It's not following like any of the main characters. Instead, you're following like just all these side characters that nobody cares about. Like they never really used Grifter in the main universe, but they try to use him in here, stuff like that, which is annoying because I'm not really seeing the gimmick. And like this annoying spunky girl whose name I can't even remember. And the reason I regret it is because of how I'm describing it here. I can't fucking remember anything that happened in that entire comic. It was like 50 issues. I don't think it made it to 52, but I don't remember a single thing that happened in there. I may have hated other comics I've read, but if I've read an entire series, wasted 50 issues reading something, and I can't tell you more than 3 things that happened in it, think of how much time I spent reading that piece of garbage. What a waste of fucking time. I could tell you everything that happened in Countdown, which was total garbage too, but I could not tell you anything in this. So apparently, total waste of my time. So I have to say I regret reading it, because if I don't even gain negativity from something, then what was the point in reading it? Oh, and it ruined Frankenstein too. I remember that. And Mr. Terrific. Yep. Just total garbage. Fuck that comic. Don't read that. Don't ever read that.
Okay.
Well, I think nowadays most people don't even know that it exists.
No, it did not go down in history. Anything that happened into it was wiped away. It's as if it never happened. So having invested into it, I didn't even gain some fun continuity quirks. The only cool part in the entire comic was a Batman sent from the future who had the Joker grafted onto his back, and he was a cyborg. And the Joker was in charge, but every now and then Batman would be like, no, don't kill these people, and switch to the other head. That was the only cool part in the whole comic.
Man, what a waste of paper.
It was. The fact that I don't even think they made it to 52 issues is so pathetic.
That is pretty sad.
Oh, and it just kind of fizzled out and ended. And it ended in a way that was like, now go read this other series to see what happens. So it didn't even end. There were like a million spin-offs I didn't read too. So yeah.
Yep, and I guess for me, I'm gonna go with Ready Player 2. When I first read Ready Player 1, I had fun with it. I thought it was a fun story. A good story? But a fun story I thought it was. Number of years later, Ready Player 2 comes out, and I decide, you know what, I'll reread Ready Player 1, go into Ready Player 2. Second time going through Ready Player 1, really start noticing a lot of the flaws in that story. And then I get into Ready Player 2, and the Ready Player 2 is just, from beginning to end, just a garbage book. It really feels like the author just wrote that book as a way to, here's a movie scene we can put into a movie. Here's a movie scene we can put in here. He managed to take all the characters, even Ready Player 1, most characters are unlikable in that. The main character is a very unlikable character. But in Ready Player 2, they managed to take even some of the characters that I felt were likable, like Artemis, and just make them unlikable. There was nobody to root for in that book. Everyone was terrible. And it really feels like the author, comes up with this plot line. Somebody must have told them, this sounds like Sword Art Online, because then everyone in the book starts saying, this sounds like Sword Art Online. There's some of the fun stuff with the first one was, all right, you have time trying to figure out these mysteries. Second one, they're figuring them out immediately, one right after the other. Stupid things like somebody in the real world jumping out of a plane, exploding and parachuting down. The entire book's just garbage. No stakes in it. And then
that explosion part was fucking stupid. Totally agree.
And I'm not going to say exactly how the end went in case anybody wants to read it, but the ending, it goes into some stuff that are some pretty big, like moral, ethical, philosophical implications, religious implications, but it just hand waves it being like, yep, this is good. Everyone, we just did this and everyone agrees this is a good thing and stuff. It's like, I don't think this is a good thing, but it just gets hand waved away. And it's like, yeah, there are some, like I said, moral and philosophical, things that go into it. Also some religious aspects to it, but, of course, the book's not going to go into that because the author of that book wants anybody who does have any sort of religion to make you feel like you're stupid for having any sort of faith in anything.
Mm-hmm. That book is so funny because he says in the book, oh, this is about empathy. This is about seeing through another's eyes and stuff. And then has things like that where he can't even fathom that people would have different opinions than him on these topics. Oh, it's so stupid.
But yeah, Ready Player 1, like I said, it's not a good book, but it's still kind of fun. Ready Player 2 was just terrible, garbage. The whole Prince section was so damn long. So much stuff about Prince, and not that much stuff about Prince. Clearly, Ernst Cline doesn't realize that Prince had more than 3 albums. But yeah.
I did feel that book was really lopsided like that. Like, the focuses were too specific and not...
Mm-hmm.
So it just felt like there was less,
Mm-hmm.
Like in the first
like
book,
skimming a Wikipedia article on a topic and then writing it as 5 chapters in a row.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, did you just do an hour of research and you just went ham on this one thing? Like, the first one pretended to be like an overall nerdy thing and
had
had
a
like
lot of
a little bit of
references,
each. Yeah, like from all over. But the second one, I don't know. You just really saw kind of a hack job.
Yeah, it takes like the one person who everyone idolizes in the first one where, yeah, that guy was kind of a dick. Second one makes it seem like more like, oh man, that guy was evil.
Yeah, evil.
He's a creepy rapist. Like,
he was autistic, therefore he's evil. That was the answer there.
Right. I thought it was kind of nice that they were sympathetic to like someone like that,
Mm-hmm.
But you're like, no, nerds
Well,
deserve to get
Sheta,
their ass kicked.
learning empathy is the ability to judge that other people were actually terrible while not seeing that you have flaws as well, and all people have things they're dealing with. That's what empathy is.
No, I think it's the opposite. Especially someone who's autistic. Come on.
Yeah, oh man, and anybody who has never read Ready Player 2, don't read it. You'll regret your life decisions.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed one, just keep it at that. Don't do it again.
Don't do that. Don't read Armada. We are not a pro Ernst Klein podcast.
Hey, I will always defend that first book.
I don't know. I want to, but then I feel betrayed. Like, because I really felt like maybe this is a kindred spirit, and then
I'll never defend the writer. That guy's a dipshit. I will always defend the first book, not the writer.
Okay, yeah, no, yeah, okay. I feel that too. I'll read it with a blind eye and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Parts of the first book are good, but other parts, it's like,
well, I don't care if
goes
it's
up
good or bad. I'll defend it anyways.
I think it's for it. It's more childish, so it's okay.
Not really, because kids aren't going to know all these pop culture references to the 80s. It was meant for people like around our age.
I didn't know a lot of it.
Because how many kids are going to read that book and be like, oh man, I love all these Family Ties references?
I didn't get most of those.
Yeah, so that's enough of us talking about stuff that we hated. Hey, people who want to leave a comment, if you disagree with us, let us know, or tell us what books you regret reading. All right, now let's leave that and get back to Brandon Sanderson, and hopefully you don't regret reading it, but maybe you do. But let's go back to last time's chapters with Sheta giving us a recap of those.
Dang it. Let's see. Do you like catching us off guard, or do you want us to be prepared?
You know, Justin did it last time, so it was going to come back to you.
Yeah, but it's been a while. Okay. It was all the epilogues last week.
Interludes.
Interludes. Okay. So we followed some new people and some old people that we've seen before. We followed a Parshendi person for the first time ever and got a POV. Learned a lot about their culture and how they have forms and how they're just living out there. And then we learned about then we followed Yim, a shoemaker making shoes for orphans, and he was and he had some beliefs that were interesting about religions and being one person and stuff, being one with God and stuff like that. And then he was killed by a mysterious dark man with a scar. Then we followed Risen again. She went to like a turtle island and like tried to appeal to this new culture that was on there, and then she jumped off the turtle and broke her legs and her ribs, but she learned a lesson. And then we followed the same Parshendi lady again, and they have a possible new form that they could use to fight the humans. A lot of info in there and a lot of new reveals about powers and things. Anything else? Anything big I missed?
Yeah, I think that's good enough.
Okay.
All right. Yep, so now let's go to this week. We started part 2, and we read chapters 13 through 17. So, once again, I'll ask you two, how did you two feel about these chapters?
I really liked seeing an Adolin chapter. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. It's interesting to see Shallan come into her own a little bit without Yezna, because at the beginning we saw a lot of her, and then like once Yezna came in, she kind of was like the most interesting part of the Shallan chapters. So now with her tragically being gone, Shallan has have to figure stuff out on her own again, and yeah.
I'd say that's true. Yeah. It's interesting to see. I feel like the book's starting to shape up for what the shape of the actual book is compared to just kind of things continuing from the last book, like the previous chapters were,
Yeah. It feels that gives it a level of like freshness and newness.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so then let's go into our side by side. All right, let's go into our chapters this week. So we're starting off, like I said, we're starting part 2, which is called Wind's Approach. So we begin chapter 13, The Day's Masterpiece. Epigraph. War form is worn for battle and reign, claimed by the gods, given to kill, unknown, unseen, but vital to gain. It comes to those with the will. From the Listener's Song of Listing, 15th stanza.
Oh, you got to be accurate. You got to sing those.
I do not have a good singing voice.
You do? I've heard you sing karaoke before. Just sing it like that.
I reiterate, I am not good at singing.
When I read that, I'm like, oh god, do I got to learn about these people's culture? This whole fucking for all of these.
And Justin, what's so wrong about learning about the culture?
What is the point of learning about a culture that I'm just going to be cutting down anyway? We
Yeah,
will wipe this culture from the face of the
Yeah.
planet.
Once you erase it, then there was no point to learn of it.
Exactly.
Maybe you should show a little bit more empathy for these people that you're trying to genocide.
I can't. I
Until-
read Ready Player 2, so I don't know what empathy is.
Until we learn that they're a people and not aliens, I'm not going to trust them.
Wait. Just because they're aliens?
Yeah, if they don't belong here, I don't want them here. I want to know who the uprooters are, you know? Like, are the Alethi the uprooters or are the Pershendi?
So are you trying to say that whoever the native people are, you'll side with, and whoever isn't, you'll side against?
Well, they'll be more done wrong, you know? Like, if they're
Aren't
just
you
living in their
an
rock
American,
planet.
Sheta?
Yeah, I'm not an alien.
Okay, so it's whoever. If you're native
It's
to
aliens.
Earth, it's okay. If you're not native to Earth, then you've got, get the fuck out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm Avatar logic, Pandora logic, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what planet's Jake from?
He's from Earth, but they're trying to come and take Pandora,
So you want him to no longer be an avatar. He needs to go back to Earth.
he's an avatar. He's one of them. If you do the whole ritual and you get your banshee, you're one of them. They said it themselves. And they let some nice humans stay, but none of the humans that want to take their stuff.
I'm afraid I don't know enough about deeper Avatar lore to argue this point.
So what stuff are the Parshendi trying to take with being forced into the Shattered Plains and hunted down by the humans?
If they're alien, well, they're still taking the gem hearts and stuff like that, and killing our kings. That's not okay.
But if they weren't aliens, it would be okay to kill the king.
Yes, then the humans are taking their stuff. So
I'm afraid
Why don't you
whatever morality you have here, I'm completely lost on.
that's okay. I'm black. I'm really straight with that. So
why don't you think that they're from the same planet?
it's just a
That's
theory.
always been her theory. She
Yeah,
has always said they're aliens this whole time.
they have alien
Based on
tech,
Virtually
alien
nothing.
powers. You know, seem like shape-shifting aliens from a Star Trek or something to me.
What alien tech?
They're shard blades and shard plate and stuff like that.
So now I think you did before say that you believed that was not native to this world.
Yeah, I think the humans appropriated it and took it, and that's why they haven't been able to replicate it. All the powers using that kind of stuff is alien. Spren are alien, you know.
Joe, I'm going to tell you now, it's a lost cause. It's a lost cause to try to ask the logic out of this stuff. There will always be an answer, and it will always make less sense than the initial one.
But see, this is where I think if the Spren are alien too, like it could be this is their planet and the humans just have come to try to live here, you know? So that's why until then, I will leave the judgment open.
So you're saying that if it turns out that the humans are the aliens, then we need to kick the humans off the planet?
Yep.
I got nothing.
Okay, that's enough. Sorry. Continue with the chapters then.
All right. Well, let's begin this actual chapter. Shallan, she's riding on a wagon next to Bluth. And she is having to use a makeshift blanket from the lining of Yasna's chest because it's cold out, and Toblakov hasn't been able to give her any blankets or anything. And she's riding around, she's looking at all the plants, and she tries to talk with Bluth, but he just tries to ignore her. He says that she thinks that he's stupid, and Shallan responds that everyone is stupid in some areas, but that their stupidities complement each other. And then Shallan, she goes back looking at the plants, and she thinks about, you know what, maybe I can sketch them. Then she blanks her mind, stop thinking about that, because she doesn't have her sketchbook anymore. When they stop for food, Shallan asks Toblakov about the cages that, because the cages, they have like wooden panels that they could put up on the sides for high storms. And she notes that, you have slaves in these ones, but this one's empty, so, put up the wooden panels on it. I'm going to ride in that one. And that shocks Toblakov. It's like, that's for slaves, but no, she goes in there. That way she can get some privacy. And she has him like put Yasna's trunk inside that wagon, and also to give her the key. That way he can't lock her inside and just leave her in there. And Shallan thinks about, how the contents of Yasna's trunk need to make it to the Shattered Plains. Someone needs to continue her work. Urithiru must be found, and the Alethi must be convinced that the return of the Voidbringers is imminent. And she thinks of the fear that Yasna had on her face on that final night. And this danger, it's not just theoretical. It is real, and it is terrible. So Shallan asks Pattern if he knows about this danger. And he says that, that his return is because of this. He didn't mention it before because thinking and speaking is hard, but it is getting easier. And Shallan asks why he was sent to her, and Pattern answers because of lies. He says her family, and Shallan asks, how long ago have you been watching me? And Pattern tells Shallan to remember. And she thinks of a white room, her father's lullaby, and blood on the floor, and then she just stops thinking about that. Nope, not going to think about that anymore. And Pattern says that he knows little of humans. Their minds break, but Shallan's didn't. It only cracked. It was the lies that saved her and drew him to her. Shallan asks, I've been calling you Pattern, but do you have an actual name? And he says that his name, it's numbers. Many, many numbers. Kind of hard to say, so Pattern is fine.
That number thing was very strange to me. Like, are these built up from, like, the actual building of reality, which is like mathematics or something? Like, I'm very curious to see what, if anything, that means, if they aren't, like, later he says he's an idea, but is an idea just a fundamental scientific truth of reality? I'm super curious about that. That was weird.
Mm-hmm. Very alien.
The exact opposite, literally, is what I just said. Based on the founding principles of the very reality would not mean alien. It would mean...
Okay. I guess for me, I'm thinking of some ancient scientists turning those fundamentals in building Spren, and this is a little robot.
So how's that an alien?
Built by an old alien scientist.
You didn't say... I'm not engaging with the alien thing again until you have evidence.
I have plenty of evidence, but they're Sheta evidence.
Sheta, the Parshendi, they have like carapace and like crab-like shells, and everything else is crabs.
Yeah, that's why I think that the humans are the invading species and stuff, because everything is kind of looking more like Parshendi.
Yep, and so during this whole conversation Shallan was having with Pattern, she's been wrapping and cleaning her damaged feet because she has no slippers or shoes, and so her feet are all fucked up. Think like John McClane in Die Hard. And she hopes that maybe she could trade one of the slavers for a pair of boots. And then Shallan begins going through what is in the trunk. At the bottom of the trunk, she finds a piece of paper, which was a drawing that Shallan had made of Yasna. She had given it to Yasna in the last book. She had assumed that Yasna had just thrown the drawing away. Shallan didn't want to face it, but Pattern tells her that she cannot keep all the lies, only the most important one. Shallan has been trying to avoid the grief about Yasna's death and everything, but now she lets it come and tears float. She cries because of Yasna's death. She cries because she has lost her sketch pad and everything that she has ever drawn. Pattern tells her that she will draw more, but she says that she doesn't want to. But he still tells her that, nope, you will still drawing, just like the wind will keep going and I'll keep vibrating. And Shallan says that the broken soulcaster is now at the bottom of the ocean, so she won't be able to repair it and send it back to her brothers. And she asks who those people were that did this. Pattern says that he doesn't know. She asks if he is certain that Yasna is correct about the Voidbringers returning. Pattern says that spraying of him come. Shallan says that these people that killed Yasna are likely the same group that Capsule and her father were a part of. She wonders why they would kill the person closest to understanding how and why the Voidbringers are coming back. But she says that she already knows the answers. They seek to control knowledge and profit from it. But she and Pattern, they are going to see that that doesn't happen. And that's the end of this chapter.
I think characters like Pattern and Syl are such a cheat because the writer can keep dropping these little ominous things all the time just for fun without ever having to explain them.
Yeah, and then be like, what about this? It's like, I'm not revealing that yet. Like,
Yeah. And just have it totally justified in the lore.
yeah, like, oh, I don't remember. I'm just a little simple little fairy. Like, oh, how convenient for you.
All right. Anything else from this chapter either of you two want to go over?
No, just that it's kind of scary, the situation that Shallan's in. Like, traveling these in a precarious situation where she could just be captured or trying to keep her head above it all, It's pretty scary. The hesitation before the guy gives her the keys to the cage was really scary.
I'm glad she thinks of things like that. I would very much dislike it if she was too stupid to.
Yeah. Like, let me willingly get into the slave cage, and not ask for the key.
Well, you both believe that she has a blade, so worst case scenario, she still could have gotten out.
Yeah, but she seems to have some kind of mental block about that, so.
I don't think she can use it unless she fully remembers or embraces whatever happened in her X-23 days.
Lullabies being sang to cover up violence is really scary to me. It's very specific, but I think that's a thing.
All right, so the name of this chapter was The Day's Masterpiece. Why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
All you, Justin.
I don't know either. I really got nothing.
Make something up.
Because she didn't do that drawing, and that would have been the day's masterpiece, and it represents how she's not, something to do with that.
Good enough.
All right. Well, we'll move on to the next chapter. But before we do, there was a piece of artwork with this chapter. A little bit of a scroll showing like some fighting with shard blades and shard plate. And at the bottom, little note left from, the same guy, Naz. Excerpt from a longer scroll. The bottom half was eaten by an axe hound as I fled the place where I'd stolen this.
I thought you said scroll, like a Marvel scroll. So I was like, I knew it.
What's a Marvel scroll?
Like a SKULL scroll.
Oh, a
like
scroll.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alien scroll.
Yep. They were scrolls. That was it. That was the secret.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so we're at chapter 14, Iron Stance. And it's an Adolin chapter, and Adolin now gets his own little chapter image. He's no longer sharing Dalinar's. The little guy with the sword.
Uh-huh.
All right. And, yeah. Sadly, this was a chapter where you guys guessed who they were. Justin was wrong, because it was neither a character named Spizzle, nor a new character.
Damn it.
And Sheta was wrong, because she guessed Dalinar. But she was pretty close, because it was Adolin.
Damn it.
So I get half a percentage because Adolin is half Dalinar. I get half points.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. So, so epigraph. Wait for meek, for love to share. Given to life, it brings us joy. To find this form, one must care. True empathy, one must employ. From the listener's song of listing, 5th stanza. All right, so we begin the chapter. Adolin's talking to his shard blade as he prepares for his first duel. He has never named his shard blade because it just did not feel appropriate. It had belonged to a knight's Radiant long ago, and that Radiant had likely named it. And this blade, it would continue after Adolin dies. He doesn't own it, he's only borrowing it. And he tells his blade that this might be their last fight together. If Adolin loses, then he loses his shards. But he says that he believes his father is right and the world needs a united Alethkar. And Adolin steps into the staging room where Renarin and Navani are waiting. Navani makes him a glyph ward and he asks, does it say victory? She tells him that it says safety and glory, and that he really should learn at least some glyphs. But Adolin says that it never seemed important. And Navani says that hopefully he will eventually have a wife to do this for him as she burns the prayer. And Adolin asks her if she has heard news of the ship since it's a week overdue. But Navani says that Yasna was on the ship and that she is likely up to something. They'll wind up getting a communication from her in a few weeks because she went off somewhere else. And Adolin, he does have a little bit of a worry that he'll never get to meet this girl, Shallan. But he still figures that, their casual patrol, though, it probably won't work out anyways, but of a piece of him wished that it would. And he thinks about how loudly Danielin had cursed him when he ended their relationship, but it was not his fault. Not after the things that she said to her friends. And she's also still one of Dalinar's...
I need to know what the things she said to her friends were.
He's so gay. He's just not into me.
He's got a little penis.
He's...
Yep, and she's still one Dalinar's scribe, so they still have to see each other once in a while, but she just glares at him.
It's always awkward. That's why you don't date in the workplace. That's all I have to say about that. Or get your girlfriends hired.
Yep, and so Adolin, he begins putting on his shard plate, and Renarin goes through a checklist of things to make sure that, Adolin did them, like eating chicken, having their mother's chain, and stuff like that. And Navani, she's not impressed by their superstitions, but Adolin says, it's not superstitions, this is just good luck. He hasn't had a duel in a while, and he just doesn't want anything to go wrong.
I think it's pretty hypocritical. I don't know. Not that Navani burns a whatever glyph for him, and then she kind of looks down on their thing that they do. Like, even though, their religion is sometimes based on real stuff, but it's also, she's doing superstitious things too.
I think the only difference is there's no official ritual to eat chicken before you do stuff.
Yeah, but everyone does what they want what they need to feel comfortable and stuff, and like to prepare. Maybe a balanced meal of chicken is good. For strength. I think it's just as valid. Maybe not just as valid, but it's valid.
And Renarin says their guards aren't happy about this, because it will be hard to protect Adolin while someone's swinging a shard blade at him. But Adolin doesn't care how they feel, and he says that he doesn't need minders. But Renarin says there's more to it than that. And Adolin says that he does not like their captain. There's something about him that seems off, and that makes Adolin suspicious. Renarin says, you just don't like that their captain ordered you around on the battlefield. And Adolin heads up for his duel. He sees that both Dalinar and Elhokar are watching from the stands. It reminds him of the last time they had a duel. Dalinar and Sadeas were together up on the stands at that time. And he wonders if Sadeas had been planning his betrayal even then. But then he gets himself to focus. Sadeas is not his foe today, but someday soon he'll get him in the arena.
He still thinks about him.
I fucking knew you were going to say that, and I hoped you wouldn't, Sheta.
I just think it's...
I was praying you wouldn't, but you couldn't hold back for turning that into something it's not.
I'm not. I just thought he would never think about that guy again, but he still is, Like, why are you thinking about him now of all times?
Oh my god.
Because he tried to kill him.
Yeah, but he tried to kill Dalinar too, and Dalinar's not thinking about him. Just a little bit obsessed.
Dalinar absolutely is.
He's thinking about a lot of other stuff, and he has he's thinking about his woman. He's thinking about all kinds of stuff, but not Adolin.
That's just not.
We'll just
true.
Move on.
It's just not true, Sheta.
All right, so today Adolin's battling Salanor, one of Thanadal's shardbearers. He only has a blade, and he had to borrow a set of plate from the king. And in order to get him to agree to the bout, Adolin had to put up both his plate and blade against just Salanor's blade. Bright Lady Istau is the high judge, and she has them begin the duel. And Adolin thinks that we are at war, and this is not a time for a show. It's time for a beating. And he feels the thrill inside him, and he easily, hits Salanor in the chest with his blade, then kicks him, and Salinar falls to the ground, dropping his blade. Adolin dismisses his own blade and just keeps stomping on Salinar's helm until it just shatters. And then he does the same thing to Salinar's breastplate. At this point, Istau shouts for Adolin to stop and just yells at him, saying that this is not a wrestling match. Adolin asks if, did I break any rules? She tells him, but no, this is not how a duel is supposed to, and he just cuts her off and saying, all right then, I won. And she says, well, no, you didn't. A duel is to 3 broken pieces, and there's only 2. So Adolin rips off Salinar's pauldron and just breaks it in his fists.
I approve. I don't like these pussy-ass dancing fights, so...
Yeah, it should be bow first, and then you do a hit, and then me do a hit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's not fucking around.
Him being all surprised that he's doing, he's trying to do a couple check hits, and he's like, no, I'm just going to beat the fucking shit out of you. I found to be very entertaining.
It was really badass.
Yeah, and so Adolin tells Salinar, all right, give me your blade. But Salinar says, no, you cheated. Then Adolin goes and he puts his gauntlet around Salinar's neck. And at that point, Istau declares, all right, Adolin won, the blade's his. So Adolin's able to take the blade and he leaves the arena. When he gets in the back, he gives the blade to Renarin. Renarin reluctantly takes it and he grimaces as he grabs it. And Navani enters and says that what Adolin did would not have worked against a more skilled opponent. And Adolin agrees with that. She tells him, it was wise. It mastered true skill. Now people might underestimate you, and I can work with that. And Adolin nods and pretends, yeah, that's why I did it.
I gotta know why Adolin's going on a psychopath route here. I'm excited to see this explored. What's that?
He felt the thrill, and he's starting to believe in the stuff his dad's talking about.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think something's messed up inside of him. I think almost dying really fucked him up a bit.
I don't know. I thought, I like him just seeing the stakes more and, and getting to cut loose with his dueling. That's his calling. So I think that's what's happening.
I don't know. That was a little brutal. When the guy's like, you cheated, he's not like, no, I didn't. He starts choking him. He's like, I'll snap your neck, He's
sick of them. I'm really glad.
Yeah, maybe.
And that they were like, okay, but you got to do your shard plate and your shard blade. Just all this, when stuff's happening that's more serious, they're just being uncooperative and annoying. But yeah, maybe there's something darker at play.
All right, so this chapter was called Iron Stance. So why do you believe that was chosen for a chapter title?
Because he did an Iron Stance.
Because he did Iron Stance instead of Wind Stance.
He did Iron Stance. That's why it's called that. Is that correct? Do we get a gold star?
Joe, say it. Say that's right. That's right, kids. Head pats.
But I also think that it might represent a philosophy shift Adolin's having, because he's been pretty carefree about fighting and war stuff, and now he seems to be.
Iron Stance. I think
something's awakening in him.
Yeah.
What's that?
He's taken an iron stance on his whole ideology about this.
Yeah. Something similar to that, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move on to next chapter. Chapter 15, A Hand in the Tower. Epigraph. Work form worn for strength and care. Whispering's friend breathe at your ear. Seek first this form, its mysteries to bear. Found here is freedom from fear. From the Listener's Song of Listing, 19th stanza. All right. So chapter begins, and we're back with Shallan again. And she tells Tavlakov that, that he's wearing a different pairs of shoes today. And he's like, no, you're wrong. I've lost all my other clothes. This is the only pair of shoes that I have. Shallan knows that it's a lie, but yeah, she decides not to call him out on it. She says, well, I hope we run into some merchants. And Shallan, she has been using she has been milking some knobweed and using the sap on her feet to try to keep away the rot spread. And she knows that Tavlakov is aware that she will be relying on him if she cannot walk. And then she sees that Tavlakov's having a conversation with the mercenary named Tag. So she tells Pattern, hey, go over there and listen to them and tell me what they say. While he's doing that, she looks in the mirror and she just looks awful. She wasn't worried about having to look pretty for slavers, but some people do react differently to people who look more like they were in control. She wonders what she could do about that, though, since she has no makeup or anything like that. And then Patton returns, and he plays the conversation that Teg and Tavlakov were having, pretty much like a recording, so it's like their exact voices. Teg thinks that Shallan is troubled and they should just leave her, but Tavlakov says that someone rich is missing her, and that they could sell her back to them, and then finally dig themselves out of this debt that they have. And Shallan thinks, you know what? This could be useful. But she cannot have Tavlakov think that she is something to be sold. So she wonders, what would Yasna do? So Shallan walks over to Tavlakov, which, has a lot of pain going over to talk to him. And she excuses Teg and tells Tavlakov that it's time to discuss his payment. He tries to play it off as like, it's all right, I'm just going to help you, that's good enough. But she tells him that she isn't blind and that his men don't agree with him. She says that she will acquire a great fortune once they arrive in the Shattered Plains, but she doesn't have it yet. She says that if she arrives safely, then those who rescued her will be rewarded. And with the way Tavlakov has been treating her, she thinks he's been treating her kind of like Capsule was, a plaything, a means to an end and not a real person. So she tells Tavlakov not to toy with her, and that he has no idea the storm that he wandered into. Do as she says, and his debts will be canceled. He's surprised, that she even knows about his debts and stuff, and she stands up and she feels stronger. She feels more determined. Tavlakov didn't know that she was timid and raised in isolation. To him, she was a woman of the court and accustomed to being obeyed. Tavlakov kind of leans away from her, and Shallan also notices that, oh shit, I'm glowing, and my dress no longer looks all worn out and ripped. So she turns to head back to her wagon, and her feet were no longer hurting as much as they had, and she thinks, that knobweed sab, it's been working. And at this time, Bluth crashes back into camp and tells him to put out the fire. Because he had saw a group of several dozens who were well armed but had no horses or chulls. He believes that they are either bandits or mercenaries. Tavlakov tells Shallan that, nobody polices this area. And Tavlakov asks Bluth if they saw their fire, but Bluth doesn't know. He didn't try to get too close to them. And Shallan asks how he knows they aren't just soldiers who are on their way to the Shattered Plains, but Bluth says they fly no banners nor sigils, but they still do have good equipment. They're likely deserters. And Tavlakov says they must depart immediately, which Shallan agrees with. She gets into her wagon and she thinks that she's one step away from becoming a slave herself. But then she thinks, no, they wouldn't dare do that to her. They would just kill her instead. Shallan asks, couldn't we just bribe these people behind us? But Bluth tells her that they're not just common bandits. They have given up on everything. When you desert, it breaks you. It leaves you willing to do anything. And that's the end of the chapter.
I think that traveling in a medieval setting is one of the scariest things ever whenever it's described.
Yeah.
Because, you can't go that fast. The bandit thing, they're just everywhere. It's really freaky to me.
Yeah, it feels really wild. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like raiders and people's loyalties being all different. I think it's interesting to try to do what Shallan is saying. Like, maybe we could bribe them. Maybe we could, like different ways you could try to appeal to people like that, But then when he said, like, you can't bribe these people, it was really scary. Like, they're not reasonable or they don't care,
Anything else from this chapter you two want to go over?
Oh, pretty simple chapter, really.
I like that it did straight up drop the Sheta's shirt idea from last week. The what would Yasna do?
Yeah. Oh, I got him. Yeah, that's good shirt. I'm gonna make it.
All right. So this chapter was called A Hand in the Tower. So why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
Oh man, I forgot what the tower means in their religions and myths and stuff. I remember they talked about it before. Oh wait, no, it's the fucking the poker hand. But deeper than that, I don't remember what it represents.
Oh yeah, the poker hand.
Well, they explicitly said that, but
something with that I didn't keep good enough track of.
All right, here. I looked it up. In this game, the tower is an outright loss.
Oh,
so just casually make reference to that, like I'm supposed to know that, is very funny to me. When they're describing, that makes what he said about you'd bet the farm basically if you had a hand in the tower. That has a very different connotation now.
All right. So here we'll move on to chapter 16, Swordmaster. All right, epigraph. Nimble form has a delicate touch. Gave the gods this form to many, though once defied by the gods they were crushed. This form craves precision and plenty. From the Listener Song of Listing, 27th stanza. All right, so now we're to Kaladin POV. So Kaladin, Moash, and Drahi, along with other members of their guard group, they head into the Light Eyes training ground. And Moash says, I thought this place would be bigger. It looks just like the Dark Eye training grounds. But Kaladin says that this place is special for one simple reason. Normally, we aren't here. And it has been a week since Amram has arrived, and Kaladin, he's decided to be happy about that. It means that he will be able to kill him, and he, thought about, I could kill him with a spear, but no, I want to do it with a knife, so that way I can be face to face with Amram as he panics and dies.
My man.
And then a female Ardent comes over to them and says that this is the Light Eyes training ground. And Kaladin tells her that, I'm a captain and I'm here to guard the Kholin boys. And then he points at some rock buds that are on the top of a wall and he says, those are cultivated up there. There must be a way up there. The Ardent tells him, well, yeah, there is, and I have the key. He tells her, all right, lead Drahi up there so that way Drahi can keep an eye on things. She asks him, what danger do you even expect here? And Kaladin points out there's people all around, there's weapons all around. So she sighs and gives the key to her assistant to bring Drahi up to the wall. And Kaladin sends, his other men to different points in this training area until it's just him and Moash. And Moash, he's watching a couple of men train with shard blades, but he doesn't recognize either of them, and he knew all the shard bearers are in camp. The Ardent explains that they are training with the king's blades. It's a tradition. It used to be the high princes would do it, but now the king does it, where men will train with the king's blade and plate because they are difficult to master. And this way, if a shard bearer falls in battle, then someone will be able to pick them up and continue the fight and actually be skilled with them. And one of those blades, it is Elkar's, and the other was Gavilar's. And Elkar's hinted that one day he may bestow his father's blade to someone. And after the Ardent leaves, Moash asks Kaladin who Amram is. He has seen the way that Kaladin looks at him and how Kaladin looks whenever Amram gets mentioned. Kaladin tells him that he was in Amram's army, and Moash is able to put together that Amram is the reason that Kaladin became a slave. So Moash says, so he's not the hero that people say he is. Kaladin tells him that Amram's soul is as dark as any he's ever known. And Moash says they will get back at Sadeas and Amram and all those who have done these things to us. Kaladin just looks over at Moash and nods. And then Moash leads to the front gate in order to guard there. Kaladin, he walks around the training grounds. His job has been feeling impossible to do. Last week, during a high storm, somebody once again was able to sneak into Dalinar's room and scrawled numbers on the wall, and the numbers are getting smaller, like they're counting down. And Kaladin is certain that nobody could have gotten past him. He wonders if Dalinar was doing it himself, or maybe it was a Spren that was doing it. And Syl asks him if he wants to talk about what is bothering him. He tells her that he's worried about what's happening during the high storms and those numbers. He asks Syl if she's still seeing those weird Spren around that she talked about. She says that the red lightning Spren, they're just kind of hard to spot. She asks him if that's all that's bothering him. Kaladin tries to play off, yeah, sure, but then she asks about Amram and Dalinar. Kaladin says, it doesn't matter, and that Dalinar is Light Eye, so he's probably friends with lots of murderers, and that kind of upsets Syl. And Kaladin says that everyone knows, at least, that Sadeas is a rat, and he's straight up with you about it, but Amram, he feigns honor. He's worse than Sadeas. Syl says that, you know that Dalinar's not like Amram. But Kaladin replies that people say the same things about Dalinar that they do about Amram. So then Syl flies right in front of Kaladin's face, and she asks him if he really thinks that Dalinar's only pretending to be honorable. And she tells Kaladin not to lie to her. No lies. Ever. And Kaladin takes a deep breath and says no. Dalinar gave up his blade for him, and he is a good man. Amram just has him fooled. So Syl tells Kaladin that he should talk to Dalinar about Amram. But Kaladin says he won't listen to me. Dalinar may be a good man, but he will not allow Kaladin to speak ill of a powerful Light Eyes. It's just the way of the world. And then Adolin and Renarin come out onto the grounds fully armored in their shard plate, and they're followed by Scar and other members of the Kobold Guard. And Kaladin goes over, he dismisses them, and Scar leaves to go join Teft and the group that are currently guarding Dalinar and Avani. And Kaladin tells Adolin, yep, this area is secure, and not to hesitate to holler if, you need help. And Adolin just grunts back. And Kaladin, he looks over Adolin and, sees his hair. And since Adolin's hair is, blonde with some blonde and black, he thinks, his mother might be from Rira. Kaladin thinks that Adolin represents the privilege of the Light Eyes. He's not like Amaram or Sadius, but he just annoyed Kaladin. And it reminds Kaladin that some in this world wore fine clothing and sipped wine, while others were made slaves. And Adolin steps up to Kaladin and says, I owe you my life, but my patience will not go as far as my father's. There's something off about him, and Adolin cannot put his finger on it. He tells Kaladin to know his place. And Kaladin responds that his place is keeping Adolin alive. Adolin tells him that, I can keep myself alive, just watch over my brother. Kaladin wonders why Adolin has waited so long to bring Renarin here for trading, because, Renarin, he's got his plate 3 weeks ago. And Sale says that she doesn't like either Adolin nor Renarin. Kaladin says, well, you just don't like anybody who carries shards. And he says, you had called the shard blades abominations before, but the Radiance carried them. Were the Radiance wrong to do so? But Sale says, of course they weren't. They weren't abominations back then. Kaladin asks what changed, and she says that the Knights did. And Kaladin says that the wrong people are carrying them now, and Syl adds that there are no right people anymore.
See, I can't believe how quick she is with this shit. It drives me nuts.
And Kaladin asks her where did the shards come in the first place, and Syl just falls silent. When Kaladin presses, she says that she wishes she could tell him. She wished it worked that way, but it doesn't. And then Kaladin knows there's a man that's over in the shadows watching the princelings, and that, there are others watching them, but this one is different. So Kaladin heads over to the man. The man had long hair and like a short, scruffy black beard. He wore loose tan clothing that's tied with ropes. He had a robust build and a scar on his cheek. As Kaladin got close, the man spun around immediately. And Kaladin could see the man's brown eyes. They seemed old, but his skin did not seem to match the age. He could be 35 or 70. And Kaladin just thinks that's too young, but he couldn't say why. The man goes back to watching Adolin Renarin, and Kaladin asks who he is. The man says, you're the one who saved the High Prince. And he tells Kaladin that he doesn't need to keep prying because he's not going to hurt the prince. Kaladin says the man is an ex-soldier. The man says yeah, and that his name is Zahel. Kaladin figures this man joined the Ardentia after leaving the military. Kaladin asks what the two Kolins are doing, and Zahel says that Renarin will be chosen by a master for training. It's awkward though, because the swordmaster picks the student, but Renarin has never practiced much with a sword, because he had health problems of some sort. And the swordmasters, they could turn him down, but they probably won't because he is down our son. Zahel swears and he says, yeah, it's suspicious that they waited until I got back to do this. And after Adolin calls over to him, Zahel sighs and says, I'm probably not brave enough either. After Zahel leaves, Kaladin asks Syl if he seemed odd to her. But she says that everyone's odd, except for Rock, because he's a gentleman. And Kaladin says, well, that's just because Rock thinks that you're a god. But she says, no, but I am a god. I'm a very little piece, very, very little piece of a god. And then she pretty much tells Kaladin that he can bow to her now. And that's the end of the chapter.
So Sheta, that guy, does he seem like, they didn't say what shape his scar was, but do you think it's the crescent moon guy?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if that is that guy, that is not where I expected him to show up next.
Well, it could be that scar is part of some order, though. I don't know. But,
maybe.
They
didn't give a lot of description of how he looks in here or in the other chapters, so
yeah.
It's hard to say, but, it's a very specific detail to point out after that interlude.
Mm-hmm.
Makes me really question and rethink whatever I thought about him or what's going on.
Yeah, because he seems a little mundane here.
Mm-hmm.
And regular, like familiar. People know him and stuff.
Everyone's like, oh, it's Z, whatever his name was. Zal or whatever.
But, a lot of serial killers have regular lives too, so.
I don't know if we thought he was a serial killer, did we?
No, but he, you can have a day job and then at night you become, Dexter.
The Night Stalker.
Yeah. The Bay Harbor Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
And you can bring donuts the next morning. No one will know,
Yeah. Because he also says that he just got back from something,
Yeah. Killing old shoemakers who help orphans. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it is. This is a mysterious new character or new player. I like him.
I really do hope Kaladin can straight up just cold-blooded murder Amaran and doesn't have to kill him in self-defense or in some righteous moment.
I'm surprised he still has that in him after how far he's come, you know?
The man is responsible for the death of his brother, you know?
Not directly.
No,
You know,
directly. He lied.
he didn't care, you know?
That's worse.
So it's just kind of he's putting all his hatred of all light eyes who don't care and stuff onto that guy, you know?
Deservedly so.
Yeah, he deserves it, but he, you know, also I don't know. I don't want to be mean to Kaladin, but that's just
His feelings will be hurt if you are.
those are just the apples, that's all I'm saying, you know? Like he seems a little young thinking when he thinks like that, him and Moesh, you know?
What the fuck are... Okay, so if somebody comes around and kills like everything you care about, kidnaps you and your brother into an army, betrays every word, and then cold-bloodedly murders all of your closest friends in order to steal something for you and sells you into slavery, them's the breaks, that's the mature response? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying there's at this point of your life, you know, you can still be mad about it. You can still bring him to justice, all that stuff. But
How?
to just kill him,
Nope. How would you bring him to justice? That's the
I would
question.
tell Dalinar, and I would say I'm gonna kill him. I want justice and stuff, you know. And I'm
That's
gonna
not going to happen, though.
well,
He's a lord. There is no justice because the lord decides the justice.
I'm not gonna murder him in that way, the way Kaladin is saying. He's
You
in a good
mean
place right now, you know, and I think murdering him or even prioritizing killing him is childish. Like, sure, maybe in the battlefield, if you want to slip a knife under his ribs, that's fine. But to even think about it and stuff, I think he's beneath you. You know,
I think I think that in the real world you would not have those views if you were in a similar situation.
I think because if I were Kaladin, I'd be like, I have freaking superpowers now. I have liberated all the bridgemen. I have Syl. I have he's just come so far from when he was working under that guy, you know. That's like having high school grudges still or something, you know, like
I am offended on Kaladin's behalf for what you're for trivializing what
I
this man
know.
has put him through.
It's just one guy, is all I'm saying. And I just wouldn't lose too much sleep over it, you know.
You are crazy. No way you believe any of that. I don't believe you at all.
I would still kill him. I just would not lose sleep over it, you know. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna get to that.
Isn't that exactly what he did?
No, he's thinking about it too much, you know. He's still angry about it, like in a way that I think is harmful to him. He should focus on getting more used to his powers instead, you know.
Do
It's
you
okay.
do you remember the ideal that Kaladin swore at the end of the first book when he had his power boost?
Defend the people, the weak. Is that what it is?
I will protect those who cannot protect themselves.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
He's
Amaram. He's too weak to defend himself. I think a slow knife murder is too good for him. You got to get more creative, Kaladin. That's what I'm saying.
I think that is too evil. I don't
You
think
know the
Syl
end
would
of
like it.
the end of Furiosa? That's the kind of thing I'm thinking.
And how
Do you
would
think?
Syl feel about
Yeah.
that?
Do you think Syl would be okay with that?
I think Syl would have to leave.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kaladin now Syl. He has these ideals. I don't think he. You know, it's like becoming a priest and still having, or you know, that stuff in you, your old grudges and stuff. You know, you can't really have that anymore.
See, here's my ideal. My ideal is, well, you shouldn't kill people. That's obviously evil. But this man is in a role of immense power. If he did this to you, you're not the only one he's done this to, you know? People suffer under him. They just do, you know? He is an evil, bad man, and the world would be better off with him in prison, but he will never go to prison in this old-timey world. You will never be able to expose him. You know, if I'm Kaladin, the morally correct thing is a slow, painful, torturous death. That's all I'm saying.
Jeez. I'm sorry, but I don't think you're going to get that. So,
I don't think so either. I think they'll either get a fight, like a passionate fight, or I don't know what else it would be. I highly doubt that it's going to be that he learns to work with Amaran. I don't believe that because the man did murder his entire crew. That's a bit much.
yeah.
But I don't think we're going to see Kaladin slowly murder this man. I don't even know if I believe Kaladin could do that because you have to have evil in you to be able to do such a thing to another human, even if they're evil themselves.
Yeah. What I worried or interested is he going to have to save Amarim? Like, if they put in a position where they're on the same team and he has to decide whether or not to save his life. That I
The
think
perfect cover for murdering him after. No one would suspect you.
exactly. So he's going to have to decide what kind of a man am I,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else from this chapter you do want to go over?
No.
All right. So the title of this chapter was Swordmaster. So why do you believe that was chosen for the chapter title?
It's just like sand mastering, but it's sword mastering.
Yep.
So, yeah. So you got to go and practice your sword mastering.
Completely agree.
So it has nothing to do with the Swordmaster that appeared in this chapter.
No, I don't think so.
All right. Next, we'll move on to the last chapter we read for today. But before that, more artwork. So this one, it's this page from Shallan's sketchbook. Kind of her drawing pattern multiple times. A lot of notes saying, how he, stuff about how he looked. Some of it got water damaged. Down the corner, we have another note from Naz. You have no idea what I went through to recover this from the bottom of the Rosharan Ocean. You owe me a new coat.
I don't think I had that art in my book. Where's that from? Because I would have definitely taken note of that.
Maybe they moved it because I have the trade paperback, so maybe because you have mass paperback, maybe they moved it to a different spot. But for me, literally, it's
no, I
right
did
in
have
between
this. I did, but I did not see that was real writing. I just saw let's see. Oh my god, these are actual words. I thought this was like in an alien script because it's kind of like gibberishy, but I look at it on here bigger and it's words. So that's awesome. I really like that. And that note at the bottom is really cool.
I do really want them to make a journal type book with all these notes and sketches in it. I think that would be really fun to have just because I really like those.
Yeah, this is very cool. I wish I'd noticed that.
The water damage is really fun.
Mm-hmm. Also, on my book, this page had completely bled over onto the other page. Like the very next page was like marked with all this black ink from all of the black on this page.
Really?
It was very, very ugly. That's not the first time that's happened in this specific book, but I don't remember seeing that in previous books. So I wonder why, if they just didn't let the ink dry before they closed it all.
So this chapter, we're at chapter 17, A Pattern. Epigraph. Dull form dread with the mind most lost, the lowest and one not bright. To find this form, one need banish cost. It finds you and brings you to blight. From the Lister Song of Listing, final stanza. All right, so we begin the chapter. It's Shallan once again, and once again she's riding on top of her wagon with her good friend Bluth. Whereas a reminder, last book, Bluth did beat a slave to death with a cudgel.
You joke, but I legit think that Bluth is warming up to her a lot. I think by the end of this, he's going to be like really loyal to her.
Well, yeah, he is, but it's just like, reminder, yeah, this guy seems kind of nice. Oh, by the way, he killed a slave. He just beat him to death.
I don't think he's nice, but one of my favorite tropes is incredibly annoying female character and incredibly like easily annoyed male character wind up weirdly becoming friends. It's one of the most specific weird ones that I quite like.
I think it's setting up to kind of be that, but I think it would be much funnier and for him to just in the end just completely betray her and be like, I always hated you. I've been waiting for this moment to brutalize you. Like
if this chapter had him be a little more overtly positive to her, I would agree that could happen, But because he's been pretty neutral in this chapter, I think it's going to go that other way. Also, why did he beat the slave to death? Did the slave have it coming?
Oh my God.
That it was one where the slave was sick, and Kaladin's just like, you just need to give him more water and he'll survive. And Tavlakov's like, okay, kill him. And then they pull him out and beat him to death.
That's
So,
awful.
not a good dude, huh?
He's that guy? Mm,
Yeah.
no. Don't redeem him.
All right, so yeah, she's trying to talk to him about plants as they go, but he just grunts. And then Shallan, she looks back at her new sketchbook. She had found an empty, just an empty journal and Yasna's stuff, so she started using it. And Pattern had been right. She couldn't stop drawing. She had started with doing a new drawing of the Xanthid. It wasn't as good as the original, but it did help her start healing. Yeah, Bluth, he's wearing a hat that's just too stylish for him. Shallan asked where he got it, and he said they traded for it. And so Shallan, she begins to draw a sketch of Bluth, but when she was done, she was just dissatisfied. She felt like she caricaturized him. So she began drawing a new one of him, as if he wasn't always scowling. She draws an idealized version of him, and she shows it to him, but he says nothing.
You know who he reminds me of? Tonk Fa.
What?
He had a hat too. Wait, no, that wasn't him. That was Parlin. Or never mind.
That was the person that Tonkfum killed.
Yeah, but I'm not getting good vibes from this guy either.
You're not getting good vibes from the guy who's a slaver.
Yeah, I wouldn't be chatting with him like Shallan is.
I think it's smart.
I also think she's just trying to pass the time.
Yeah, she can't really shut up, so. I just mean, you don't want to annoy someone like that. That's all.
No, but you don't want them to be indifferent towards you either. A slaver who's indifferent towards you, I think, is a very dangerous thing.
Sometimes, it depends on the person.
If it's the kind of person that you're talking about, I don't think it matters what you do. They're just going to see you as meat no matter what.
Maybe.
Like, slavers already are able to see humans as things instead of people, You don't want to be seen as just another thing. I think the charming lead slaver is the one who's going to turn out to be the really dangerous one, and then Bluth is going to wind up saving her.
We'll see.
All right, so Tavlakov has them stop the wagons, and while they're stopped, Shallan gets Bluth to collect some more knobweebs for her. And to the south, there is a thin trail of smoke, and Shallan asks if the deserters are following them. Tavlakov says yes, but it does appear that they have stopped for a meal. And they don't seem to care that they can see their fire. And Tavlakov just hopes they can stay ahead of the pursuit. And Shallan thinks that she needs to distract herself to take her mind off the pursuit. So she goes over to a couple parshmen. And her feet, they've been feeling much better. So she now is having to exaggerate her winces, so Tavlakov thinks that she's still hurt. And she asks the parshmen what their names are, and they're just kind of confused. They say 1, 2. She asks if they are happy, if they would rather be free, but they just looked uncomfortable and just don't seem to understand. And Shallan thinks to herself that these are evil creatures, but she found it hard to believe that by looking at them. And Yasna was right, and persuading the Light Eyes to rid themselves of Parshmen will be impossible. So Shallan goes, she sits back down in her wagon to draw, but then she notices another column of smoke that's up ahead. Tavlakov begins to talk to Tag, and Shallan tells him, I want to hear your conversation too. He tells her that they are at an area with more traffic, so it's not unexpected to see others. And if that up ahead is another caravan, then that means they are lucky. He says they should avoid them though, but Tag says that, hey, if they're a large caravan, that means they'll have better guards and good protection. But Tavlakov says we don't know that, and we could be placing ourselves between two enemies. Shallan says those behind us, they will eventually catch up to us. There's probably going to be a high storm tonight, so that means that they are likely committed to hunting us down, killing us, and then using our wagons to weather the high storm. But Tavlakov says that if we saw that column of smoke up ahead, then the deserters might have either. And Tag suggests that, we could go east, let the killers then just, instead of going after us, just go straight ahead towards this new group. And Shallan, she's not really a big fan of getting out of the way and allowing others to get attacked instead. And she also thinks that the deserters, they're cowards, but they would still crush Shallan the others. And she thinks that going east and trying to do Tag's plan likely wouldn't work, because the deserters will probably still just chase after them because they're an easier prey. So she tells Tavlakov to go straight, try to make for that second column of smoke. And Shallan, she's back on her way again. And she begins drawing as their caravan begins moving. She draws some of the things that she had lost from before, like Carbranth, Yalb, and all sorts of stuff. And then she draws an elegant and poised woman in control, and she adds her own face to it. She thinks that this wasn't her, but maybe it could be. She then draws like a woman in court surrounded by the Alethi elite and belonging with them, and once again adds her own face to it. And she continues to draw image after image. And then eventually Shallan draws that image of Yasna, looking at her desk, sitting at her desk, just looking exhausted and terrified on that final night. And Shallan tells the caravan to stop, so that way she can go back inside her wagon. But she still tells them to call her when they get near the group that's up ahead. Once inside the wagon, she begins to add more knobweed sap and notices just how much more her feet are improved. She asks if Pattern did this, but he says he doesn't know much of how people break or unbreak. She asks him if Spren can get wounded. He says that they break, just differently than men do, and that also they don't unbreak without aid. Shallan says that she made herself glow last night and asks if Pattern knows why. He answers lies. And she says that her dress changed too last night, but now it's back to how it was. She says that she needs to be able to control this light weaving. Pattern asks about the book, but Shallan remembers that the book, Words of Radiance, had been lost when the ship went down, and she never had actually gotten a chance to read it. So she will need to find another copy when they arrive at the Shattered Plains. And Shallan looks at a sphere, and she says the Knights Radiant formed a bond with Spren, and it was a symbiotic relationship. Their bond gives her the ability to manipulate some of the surges. In this case, the power of light, illumination. She asks Pattern how to make it work. Pattern kind of suggests that, you could try eating the sphere, but Shallan does not think that will work, nor does she want to. And then it goes in this whole thing with Pattern not fully understanding poop.
Best part in the book.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, that's why I keep all mine. I don't know what everyone else is doing.
Gross.
Where do you keep it?
In a box in the corner.
Ew, stop.
Just a cardboard box.
What happens once it's filled?
I just stuff it down further.
Stop, that's disgusting. Oh, so that brings up you can delete this part, but
something up.
well, when we had to watch that eating disorder video in health class, and that girl kept a bucket of her puke in her room like that.
I never saw that.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a documentary sort of thing, and they showed like a person with like bulimia, a person with anorexia, and yeah, you had like the bulimic girl, and yeah, she had, because she didn't want people to know it, so she kept a bucket that she puked in the room.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's gross.
Yeah, and Shallan thinks that, before she breathed it in, so she just stares at the sphere and takes in a sharp breath, and it works. The stormlight goes inside her. But she doesn't know what to do in order to do the light weaving. So she tries, nothing happens, and after a couple of minutes, the stormlight fully dissipates from her. She thinks maybe I should try soul casting instead, but Pattern calls it dangerous. And Shallan says that Yasna said the same thing about it, but now Yasna is gone, and so Shallan has nobody to teach her. So it's either practice on her own, or just straight up never use that ability. And this is when Shallan also notices that the wounds in her feet are even smaller, and she figures out the stormlight has been healing her. And she says that she's doing things almost by accident, which Pattern just doesn't seem to understand. She tells him that's just a figure of speech, and it means a way to convey a feeling, but not a literal fact. Pattern buzzes happily. It has been a long time since anyone has learned anything of Shallan's kind. She asks if he's a scholar, and he says, of course, what else would he be? He will learn so much before... And then he just kind of stops. Shallan asks before what? Pattern says, no, it's just a figure of speech. She tells him that he is lying, and that he is a terrible liar. So Shallan orders him to tell her what he was about to say. He says that he will learn what he can of her before she kills him. He says that it happened to the others, and it will now happen to him. It is a pattern. She asks if this has to do with the Knights Radiant, and Pattern answers yes. The Knights killed their Spren. She asks how, and he answers their oaths. But that is all he knows. Those of his kind who were unbounded kept their minds. It's hard to think apart from his kind, though, unless they have a person. And Shallan figures this is what they get out of it. Shallan gets surge binding, and the Spren get sapience. They are ideas that wish to live. She tells Pattern that she won't kill him, but he supposes, well, the others likely didn't intend to do it either. Shallan says that she isn't a Knight's Radiant, but Pattern tells her that she spoke oaths. She lives lives and it gives her strength, but without speaking truths, she won't grow. And Shallan gets up, and her feet are, at this point, almost fully healed. She tells Bluth to stop the wagon, and then she gets out. At this time, she sees that the column of smoke up ahead has grown even larger and darker. She says that's no cook fire. Bluth says that something big is burning. It's likely wagons. It doesn't look like things went well for those up ahead. And that's where we end our chapters this week.
See, this is why I would have listened to the slavers. You don't go towards other people when traveling.
Yeah, it's a huge gamble. I wonder if she could have told Pattern to go and look.
I don't think he can go that far.
We don't know. Syl disappears for a long time.
I am curious about that, how much autonomy they have away from the person, or if they're, like what the rules on that stuff are.
Yeah, like if you an enemy you can see, you can go have them go over there. I guess like a spell.
Also, Justin, she was going ahead because they were being chased from behind.
Yeah, I know, but I like their plan of get away from these people. Hopefully the bandits will go towards these other people and kill them, and we can sneak past. You're just going to go to where bandits are already attacking somebody.
Yeah. You can't really afford to have morals and worry about things like that sometimes in that wild situation. It's kill or be killed.
Well, it wasn't just moral. She also thought that if they tried to do that other plan, that people would be like, now we'll still keep chasing after them.
Yeah, it wasn't 100%. But if you go to the other camp...
Why are you trying to argue with me when they were wrong to do this one?
We don't know that.
Clearly, I was the one who was right. I don't know. You're going towards burning carriages. That could be a very bad thing.
Yeah, might just even be the same bad people.
All right. Anything else from this chapter either of you two want to go over?
No, pretty basic. This one's interesting because it's clearly setting up what's going to happen next quite a bit.
Yeah.
All right. So this chapter was called A Pattern. So why do you believe that was chosen for a chapter title?
Like a pattern or a pattern?
Potato or potato?
No, because one means a pattern, as in there is a pattern that happened. The other, a pattern, means like a pattern, like instead of B pattern, C pattern. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay.
Probably the first one.
I thought it was just because Pattern was talking about the pattern of Spren getting killed.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right.
Also, potato isn't really how people say it, so
somebody must, because there's that saying.
It's tomato, not potato.
Oh, you're right.
Actually, I think the song includes both.
I forgot about the song.
All right. So now let's go over to our theories and predictions segment. So, will Kaladin tell Dalinar about what happened with Amaram?
Yeah, eventually. He'll feel forced to. And I think that we, the audience, will be very surprised by how things play out after that. But I can't guess how, because then I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it's in Kaladin's nature to go and tell Daddy Light Eyes about it, you know?
No, I think he'll be forced to. Like he'll feel he has no choice but to tell him. I don't think he's going to do it like that and expect anything to be done.
What kind of scenario are you thinking that would make that happen?
You can't imagine one? Just like nothing specific, just Dalinar is going to trust Amaran with something specific, and Kaladin's going to feel, I can't not tell him that this man is a betrayer. He doesn't know the true him like I do. Or he's like, I need you to protect Amaran, and he's like, I need to tell you up front that I have beef with this guy. Like, there's a million scenarios where I think you could tell him.
Okay, the beef maybe. Well, he's not going to say that because like, oh, good. I'll be assigned to him. We'll be alone in the desert, and I can kill him.
Yeah, that's my point. That he'd be like, I will kill him if I'm alone with him, and that could jeopardize the greater mission. So I need to be upfront about this, you know. Or it'll just spill out in a situation like that where he'll be like, why do you keep having a problem with this guy? And he'll be like, because he betrayed me. You know, something like that. There's like a million. Or he'll just learn to trust Dalinar enough that he'll feel, you know, I can trust him. I'm going to tell him because I've become very close with this man. I think there's a billion scenarios you could do.
All right. Well, I'm going to be on team not tell Dalinar. I just don't, yeah.
Are you on team you don't think he's going to tell Dalinar, or team I don't think he should tell Dalinar?
I don't think he's going to. I don't think there's anything wrong with him telling him, but I just can't see Kaladin telling him because he doesn't really trust Light Eyes, and I can't really see a reason for him to tell him unless he really wanted to. And I don't think he would want to, since he's still trying to kill him.
All right. And then the other question will be, what's going to happen with Shallan and the caravan carriages, whatever in front burning, and these people behind them following?
It would be funny if the ones following them are like, ma'am, you dropped your shoes back here. We were just trying to return it to you. And that, yeah, maybe a flipperoo with them heading towards a big danger. Yeah.
I really can't guess. I feel like they're just going to come upon some survivors of some attack or something, and we're going to get a couple other characters that are going to like introduce us to what the plot of this journey is going to be besides just Shallan. Like something happening out here that's plot relevant. That's my only guess. Otherwise, I can't imagine why they'd go over there.
What if it turns out to be Yasna and Yaub and the rest of the ship crew?
Don't fuck with me.
And she's like, I thought you were dead. It's like, no, I was just over there.
Don't fuck with me. Don't even do that. I'm not even talking about, referencing Yasna at all. I'm still too angry about that. So don't even play with me.
Well, to me, because Shallan cried, I thought that's it. That's the end. Maybe. So either they're trying to trick me into thinking she let her go or something else. But then I still think that what's his name is still alive. So
you can't even remember his name. Capsule.
Wait, yeah, Capsule.
Yeah, Capsule will return, guys. Where the fuck is Gaz? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, because they're all together.
Oh, Justin, maybe Gaz is in following them.
I could see Gaz having become a deserter, you know. Now that you've said that, I don't think that will be true, but I could have seen that once he thought he was going to be executed, you know.
I don't care about Gaz. I don't know why. I just am not that interested in what happened to him.
Well, it's not that I'm interested in the character. It's that he just disappeared from the plot completely with no resolution for being such a big character.
And it was pointed out specifically that our main guy was like, where is he?
If they had never done that, I would never ask, you know?
Yeah,
that's my brain picking up on, I guess that's a plot point I should think is important, and it still has not been brought up, and it drives me nuts.
Yeah. I can't believe the book ended and we didn't learn anything. And now it's...
At this point, it's got to be something huge, you know?
Well, I wonder if it'll get to a point where it doesn't matter anymore, because people are not going to remember.
I think he got taken by the king, like some greater person got taken, him among many others, because of their ability to see something on the other side, you know? I think it's going to be crazy important, and we're going to be horrified when we see what's been happening to the poor guy.
I guess he was memorable enough. He was Kaladin's first, like, antagonist. I mean, not first, but, you know.
All right. All right. At this point, I'll leave it up to you guys. Throw out whatever theories you want.
This one's not decent. This is my off-the-wall theory.
Decent?
Sheta level theory.
Hey.
Shallan's drawing all these sophisticated women who are all capable and then putting her own face on them subconsciously. And she's interpreting that as her thinking, maybe I'm changing, you know? My interpretation is Yasna placed her own soul within Shallan for safekeeping for a time. Through the afterlife thing, or is trying to speak with her through her art in some way. That's mine. Totally off the wall, based on almost nothing theory.
You are a freak, Justin.
That theory makes no sense and is based on nothing. That doesn't make you
just want to combine your favorite girls together to make
Shallan is not one of my favorite girls, no. I don't want that to happen. That was just my thought there. If it's not just her, obvious the obvious one, her subconsciously seeing herself differently. That some bizarre supernatural thing is happening with that. Because that Jasna's body just disappeared is the weirdest fucking thing,
It is weird. It's like Obi-Wan's body disappearing. Yeah, no, definitely something weird going on.
Then my
Interesting.
other one is she sucks in the light and Pattern said light, like, how did I do that or something? And she says lies. And then there was another line, I forget what it was, so I'm sorry I don't have the evidence. But my other off the walls theory is because they're like humans tell themselves lies to live, yada yada, but you need to see the truth. The truth is the blackness of nothing. It's just nothing. That's what the truth is. And all light is lies. Is something that is not correct and is not true, but we believe it's true, so it becomes true. So I think that the because the spheres have light in them. When you go into the Shadesmar, it's like kind of dark, but the spheres are what exists. Nothing else exists, So I think that lie is actually going to be a bigger idea because they keep bringing it up. I don't have enough to really formulate it, but I think vaguely it's something to do with that.
So you're saying like the truths we make up is what reality
Oh,
is? Or...
the truth is that nothing fucking matters. Nothing exists. Everything goes to darkness, The lie we make up about that is that there is a light. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. Things matter. Things exist. And I think that goes with how Pattern wants to connect to Shallan because they get sapience, because humans have them and ideas don't, And um, so nothing is the natural state. And imagination, what humans create, it seems to be what gives things substance because these, we go in and we convince a thing that it's something else, which means we have how we define things, how we think of them influences what they are and influences how they think of themselves. So all of this is built on human sapience,
I
because a
see.
stick doesn't actually think it's a stick, but we think it thinks it's a stick, so it thinks it's a stick. So I think that's the lie we tell ourselves, that these things are defined and exist. And I think light will be the metaphor for that. However, this is getting a bit high concept, and I have very little evidence to work off of. So that's my very rough idea of where some of this stuff is going.
So when they kill their spren, is that when they die or when they just like don't believe in anything anymore?
Well, that'd be a separate theory. I don't have an idea on what killing the spren is yet.
Okay.
But working off of what you're saying, I had a glimmer. It would be that people die, in the end. And when they die, the spren loses sapience. That would be my guess,
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what they're saying in here because I just don't think that's what they're saying. I think
Mm.
it's
I thought it was, men get
I think it's
corrupted,
that
they lose faith and stuff.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The concept that they're channeling to bring the spren to life, because they're the idea that is channeled, that comes to life, that people naturally betray it as they grow older. It's almost impossible not to, because
Mm.
situations change,
They
So
become
yeah.
jaded.
Yeah, jaded, but also something more natural that I don't know what it is yet. Something like you have honor, and at a certain point, it becomes hard to hold on to that because you're not living that life anymore. I don't know. I don't have it yet, but I think there's something there.
Yeah.
That's not a theory. That's just jumping off of what it sounded like you were saying.
Yeah. Well, my theory's stupid, so I'm not going to talk about it.
My theories were stupid.
Yeah, but mine are more stupid.
Well, if you say that, I almost feel inclined to trust you.
Yeah. What if Shallan and Adolin are related?
What?
They talked about how one of their shard blades or plate was inherited from his mother's side, And I was like, his mother is a mystery still. And so is Shallan's mother. We don't know anything about her either. So I was like, what if they're sisters and they are related and it would be awkward. Yep.
No.
Except that Yasna knows who Adolin's mother is, and Yasna would have done her research to know who Shallan's mother is.
This would be Yasna's last laugh. That's what she. Well, we don't know that much, and maybe Shallan's shady family kept some stuff secret and stuff. We know basically nothing about that, so that's just why I was thinking there was a little bit of talk about that with Adolin's mother and about Shallan's mother too. So I was like, because their relationship seems pretty perfect so far. Like if they met, they would just really, they're down to be married. So what problem could there be except for that they're cousins? Though I don't know if it matters that much in this world or not. So
I thought your problem beforehand was that there was going to be a love triangle.
well, yeah, of course. Then there's a love triangle.
Granted, Sheta's version of the story, Kaladin, Shallan, Adolin, Yasna, and like a whole love square. Dalinar, Navani, Eshna, a love triangle. Adolin and Sadeas are also thrown in there. Everyone is, it's. I think you forget what genre of book you're reading.
There was a love
just
triangle
decides it's her
in
own
Elantris.
genre.
There's a lot of love triangles. Two sisters, whatever, Wraithen and all them in Elantris, Delof. It's all there.
Wait, Delof?
Delof, Wraithen, and Serene.
Delof never had feelings for Serene.
We didn't get a chapter in his head.
Delof.
Joe, she has a point.
Delof hated everybody because he was still in love with his wife who died in the past, and he blamed the Elantrians for it.
He had a wife? Oh.
That's why he gave his whole story where he had his wife, got sick, brought him to the Elantrians to heal, and he's going against his own beliefs, bringing it to them, but then they messed up the healing, and then she pretty much, what eventually became the shield for the Elantrians she had, so she could never feel pain stuff, and then she threw herself off the top of the walls, and he blamed them. He felt like they purposely did that to her to get at him, because they knew like he was from the different religion.
I see. What a complicated little man. Best character. So I've been thinking about Kaladin's been needing a sparring partner. And he's like, who's strong enough for me to fight? So I've been kind of wondering who that's gonna be. Whether maybe Adolin, this new Scar guy, or Shallan.
Zahel?
So, yeah.
Why would it be Shallan?
Because she has a shard blade and she wants to be a warrior girl. So
what about Renarin?
Renarin's a little bitch. That's my opinion on Renarin.
I'm still waiting for Renarin to go evil secretly. Even though
didn't like when they handed him that shard blade. You're like, oh shit, here it is.
He had a shiver, and his illness is so mysterious. Is it because he's a little psychopath? Is it? Yeah. Or it could be Eshonai.
I thought
the other guy or the other.
Last book, you literally apologized to everyone for thinking he was evil.
I did, but I still have a little piece of suspicion towards him until I learn more about him. He's just like a weird, lingering piece that has a mystery still. I don't know what that guy thinks about. So,
all right. Any other theories or anything to throw out there?
No.
Oh, Dalinar's writing his own countdown.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was surprised they just let Kaladin just say that, because I think that's the only answer.
Yeah. He's already weird, so it makes sense for him to have night walks.
I think it's a thing trying to help and warn him,
Yeah.
All right. Well, now let's move over to characters of the week.
Adolin, for being badass and manly.
Just for beating the shit out of a guy?
Yeah, for being like, I'm done playing this game. I'm if I was Danlan, I'd be like, oh, I shouldn't have broke up with him. I was so manly.
It said that he dumped her.
Maybe I was wrong. Maybe he's not gay, is what I would say.
Yeah. He's just always talking about Sadeas.
Yeah, this obsession with Sadeas is messing up our romantic life.
Yeah, that was it. My favorite character is Bluth, for being an annoyed guy who doesn't like people who use too many words and doesn't distrust them, but also slowly warming up to Shallan. But also, I wasn't really gonna pick him. I was only liking him until you reminded me he beat a slave to death. Now he's definitely my favorite.
That made you like
That was the clincher that pushed him over because now he's a man of
him
many
more.
layers.
Yep. I guess I'll be basic. I'm just gonna go with Shallan. We had more chapters of her compared to the others, but I liked her in those chapters, just slowly figuring out how to use her powers. It's kind of like what we saw with Kaladin in the last book. Just like, okay, so I got Stormlighted me. How did I do that? And now she's doing the same thing. We're figuring out the same stuff, with her and everything. And yeah, I've liked that. And her knowing like, all right, somebody needs to get to the Shattered Plains. We have to find you or Thea or all this stuff with Shallan.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
All right, so now let's go to quotes.
My quote is a Shallan quote. When she's looking in the mirror, she could see that she looked awful. Red eyes with bags under them, her hair a frazzled mess, her dress frayed and soiled. She looked like a beggar who had found a once nice dress in a trash heap. It didn't bother her overly much. Was she worried about looking pretty for slavers? Hardly. However, Yasna hadn't cared what people thought of her, yet had always kept her appearance immaculate. Not that Yasna had acted alluringly, never for a moment. In fact, she disparaged such behavior in no uncertain terms. Using a fetching face to make men do as you wish is no different from a man using muscle to force a woman to his will, she said. Both are base and both will fail a person as they age. No, Yasna had not approved of seduction as a tool. However, people responded differently to those who looked in control of themselves. This is I think it's really interesting, and I wonder where Brandon, heard of it or thought of it and stuff, because it's kind of a really feminine attitude, like I wear makeup to work because I want to be taken seriously or I want to be seen in this or that way and stuff like that. It's not for the guys at my work, but it's for myself. You hear that a lot, it's so I think it's interesting to hear that here, especially in a culture where men and women are very separated and stuff.
Well, you're saying it's because there's a certain way that you're viewed if you do that, and a certain way you're viewed if you do not, correct?
Yeah.
And so you wear it because you want to be perceived a certain way, and that way is not to get a boyfriend or some shit like that. It's to be perceived as somebody who cares for their appearance, correct?
Yeah, who's in control, who's put together, that's what it is. So
I almost picked that one for the second part. The using a pretty face to manipulate a man is like a man using muscle to manipulate a woman.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very funny comparison.
Yeah, I've just seen that a lot, especially with people who are really into makeup and dressing up and stuff like that. Yeah.
I like the both fade with age too. That was very funny.
Oh yeah, I like that part too, specifically. You can't rely on it. So, but it is a tool.
You'll get used to it, and then one day, sadly, you'll be too weak or old, and nobody will want to look at her. Nobody will do what you say, and they'll just hate you for it for trying.
Yeah.
And you'll be weaker for it.
Yeah, it's interesting because Dalinar has a kind of, he was known as being super strong and a good fighter, and what people started to say was that he was weak and not what he once was and stuff, so that's kind of happening like that too. Interesting theme.
My quote is Shallan thinking of the deserters when she says, "They won't hunt prey their own size. They left the army, ran away. They're cowards." But then later thinks, cowards? Or just men disillusioned? Rocks who started rolling down a hillside only to start going so quickly they don't know how to stop. I thought that was very interesting because you really get to see both that Shallan, she says she has a lot of quick draw opinions and things she thinks about people, but she is willing to consider that what she thinks is wrong and try to think from other people's perspective. But also that idea that you leave the army and then things just are happening so fast. if you don't want to fall over down the hill and die, you wound up doing things that are just horrific. And I think it's really fun for her to try to empathize with people who, if they catch up to her, will do the worst things to her imaginable. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, might be too soon
Too soon for what?
to start thinking nicely of them.
Oh, no, it's just thinking theoretically. I don't think it's going to make her think, we should talk with them, you know? I don't think she's that kind of person.
All right, and then mine, kind of goes along with Justin's quote. Deserters aren't like common bandits, Blue said. These men, they've given up everything. Oaths, families. When you desert, it breaks you. It leaves you willing to do anything because you've already given away everything you could have cared about losing. Wow, Shallan said, looking over her shoulder. Yeah, you spend your whole life with a decision like that, you do. You wish any honor were left for you, but no, you've already given it away. Truthfully, that plus Justin's, they kind of go together to be like a mini version of the Broken Man speech from A Feast for Crows. Where that speech in, Feast for Crows, Song of Ice and Fire, it's one thing that so many people, they just love this whole big thing, just talking about how people wind up, pulled into that army and eventually they just get broken. They look around, they don't recognize anybody. So it's kind of like a mini version of that, just being like, these people, they did kind of get broken and go off and they don't have anything, so they're willing just to do whatever they can.
I think that's an interesting theme too, because we have a couple characters that sound like they had that life a little bit. I feel like Tef has a mysterious past like that, like where you really lose hope and only someone like Kaladin like could maybe bring that back. I wonder. And in that moment, who was saying that? Like, did it sound like they were kind of like had experience with that?
Oh, that's a good point, because it was the slaver, Who knows what his life was before?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like, I don't think you wake up and was like, you know what? I want to grow up to be a slaver,
The easy, honest work, Sheta.
No, I think that's a slippery slope that you just kind of end up at. You sell stuff, you sell people's stuff, and you sell people,
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, now we have a couple comments and stuff to go through. First, from Words of Radiance, the prologue through Chapter 2, from Reader Warrior. I haven't thought of Bone in years. Holy cow, that was my favorite graphic novel in middle school.
Yeah.
Yay! Yeah, that was a really fun one.
Yeah, I remember I was reading that as a first time I saw it was, Disney Adventures magazine. This like small booklet that would just have a bunch of stuff about current Disney things, and they originally printed that it was the first issue of Bone, but they released it in like 3 parts. And then like a couple years later, they released everything technically up through part 6 or issue 6 of Bone, and it was always split up into like 3 parts for each issue. That's the first time I saw it, and then after that, I started buying some single issues of it, and then finally got graphic novels once it was all finished.
That's cool. So you actually saw it in the magazine? That's really fun. Because I know that's
Disney Adventures
first did it.
Yeah. Well,
That's
no,
cool.
it first came out its own like issues.
Yeah. I mean, that's
This was
where it got really popular from that magazine.
Yeah.
Or that. I always just thought it was Disney because of that. But
then he goes on. I'll recommend for graphic novel, because this is the one we're recommending comics for somebody who's never read a comic. Astronaut Academy. And for just individual comic books, Absolute Batman #1. Because who doesn't want to see a bunch of racists get beaten up by a guy in a bat costume? Or the one where Batman is chasing Joker/Red Hood through the multiverse and meets a bunch of other Batmen.
Oh.
I don't know what that one is, but I
that
feel
was
like
a recent one.
I feel like going through
Adam West animated Batman, all this stuff. They all gave him advice. The art was cool,
but I feel like that isn't the best for like someone who's never read a comic before, because you're not really going to understand the references as well.
Well, they weren't a bunch of deep cut comic ones. They were ones that most people would know. So, like I said, Adam West and Michael Keaton's Batman, like stuff that most people know.
I see. So if you're just a Batman fan, you could.
Yeah,
it wasn't
like
World's
Batman
Funnest
23 or something. Yeah, it wasn't like. Well, I think World's Funnest is an awesome place to start. You'll know so much by the end of reading that. But absolute Batman is badass. It's one of the most badass things on the stands.
All right. And then from the prologue, Shallan sees spiral heads, Yasna sees oil swordsmen. Typical women in Roshar.
Yeah.
You don't get it. I don't know the stereotypes of Rosharan women.
They see a lot of shit.
They see eldritch abominations quite often. And you're like, oh, honey, you're just being hysterical about that Cthulhu staring in at you.
No, they were like, oh, my Cthulhu thing said this up to me. Like, that's how they talk.
Oh, honey, yes, yes. When you stare into the abyss, it stares back. Yes, how quaint.
Oh, is that the husband saying that to them?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I was doing girl talk, being like,
Oh,
I dressed
no.
up my Cthulhu's friend like this today. Isn't it cute?
No, mine is, you know how women are.
If I had a meeting with someone whose career focused on killing people, I wouldn't want to keep them waiting. The beads are almost the personification of how Shai describes soul stamping and identity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think it's so fascinating, the idea that those are so similar. And it really makes me question what the link between all these different worlds we're reading is going to be. It's very fascinating.
Yeah, he kind of likes playing with like similar or related ideas. Especially like when it comes to souls and like creation and stuff like that.
It's either that he's weaving a multi-world tapestry shared thing where all magic comes from the same core and we're going to see some kind of really fascinating link at some time, or he's just a shittily uncreative writer who reuses his ideas. Definitely one of the two.
Well, we know how he writes, so he probably writes like that and then tapes it all together.
Wait, did you say he's a shitty writer who then justifies it by taping it together? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, he said he writes
I don't know about that.
and then glues all the themes together to make something.
I don't know. This book is really making me think that there's some behind the scenes answer that we don't know yet.
This one, yeah, but other ones I felt like he kind of
I think he
ran
was
with
fucking
it.
around at first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm saying. It's kind of both.
But I think that's what all writing is.
It's like, I could tape it all together and make a Cosmere.
All right, then from chapter 1. Realmatics both do and don't make sense, even to the most hardened of arcanists. Realmatics is stuff having to do with like the physical, cognitive, spiritual realm they've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Cosmere arranged marriages do seem to end well, i.e. Raoden Serini, Ciri, Susebron.
Yeah, I feel that way.
Yeah, but
I always wanted to be in an arranged marriage. I thought that would be kind of fun.
What? No, thank you. Fuck that shit.
Like, that takes the pressure of making a choice out of it for me.
No way.
My parents already him, so it'll be fine.
I don't want to marry Walder Frey's fattest daughter. Fuck that shit.
To be fair, in there, Roose Bolton picked the fattest one. But except there are other arranged marriages that did not work well in Cosmere, like Elend and Shan Alariel.
That wasn't a real arranged marriage. So
yeah,
that was
if he would have given her a chance, it would have worked.
Oh, well, yeah, but
you guys like her.
I still think she would have killed him. Either way.
Shan apologist.
100%.
I am. Yes.
Just because she was described as super hot with red hair.
I thought she had blonde hair.
I don't think they actually said she was hot. She was just rich, so she assumed that she was hot.
Well, she dressed like a slut. That's what it was.
That never happened either, and I don't want to do this any further. Move on.
I remember her wearing a low-bearing shirt.
Shit up.
All right,
dressed like a
we'll
slut.
Continue on. Shallan repressing? No.
That's gonna. I want to see her when she sheds all that. I wonder if she'll just be a straight up bad guy.
A shy introvert twink that's able to pun with wit. Storms. I date Renarin over the slut Adolin.
I've been avoiding using the word twink for Renarin, but now I feel like I'm allowed to cut loose on it.
Wow. Why do you think he's a twink? See,
because
now you guys.
He's a skinny little twerp.
He just prefers books to swords, Justin.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's no.
No, she's
No.
All right. Last book started with Shallan on a boat chasing Yasna, and then she wasn't seen at all in part 2. Why would Kaladin, Light Eyes hater, Stormblessed, be into Shallan, especially since she lies so often?
You can't help who you love. I mean, his first crush was that one girl in his village, so I don't know. And Shallan's not like your normal Light Eyes. Actually, she's exactly like that.
She's admittedly like that.
Yeah.
She just said, "I'm just like that."
I can't make a fire. I need shoes.
Everyone, I think, they're not hobbits.
I'm just making
What
fun
a
of her.
baby
I
needing
think-
shoes.
Yeah. She's gonna end up using her shard blade and once she reveals her true self, then Kaladin won't be able to help it.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I'll be surprised if they ever meet until the final chapter for 2 seconds, Sheta.
Don't say that. But it'll give Adolin and Kaladin more stuff to fight about. They'll fight about Shallan.
God.
First, you take my dad. Now you're gonna take my betrothed.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I kind of like that. The take my dad part is hilarious.
Chapter 2, Bridge 4. And then a quote from somebody, Kaladin's not very violent. Really?
I don't know who said that.
Sounds like me. I don't know.
They do the tattoos on their foreheads to cover up their slave brands.
Mm-hmm. Still
Well,
ugly.
the ones that had the slave brands, the ones who didn't just did it to match.
Yeah,
Besides-
I don't need to look like Charles Manson.
hardcore.
Could have passed for a Light Eyes does not mean they're handsome. Glares at Rashon. Hey, if there's a character that survives a bunch and he meets a bunch of mentally unbalanced people in a depressing situation, you bet he's going to end up the leader of a cult.
That's true.
From the theory segment, ooh, insanity spreads sound awesome.
Mm-hmm. I want to see that.
And then I remember this from Sheta. I didn't know how Parshendi is spelled. Forehead slap. And you didn't ask before trying to shuffle the letters?
Then how will I make it fit my theory?
That's a good point, actually.
Responses. What? Too much? Son of a Kremlin. I tried to dial it back. Haha. And then about the person who they said they would pick for Shallan for the casting. It's like, they didn't cosplay Shallan. They were Shallan at the World Hopper Ball. I guess World Hopper Ball at
character.
Yeah, like they started doing that at some of the Dragonsteel
Yeah.
Nexus, where it's like you go there and you're actually like, it's actually like a part of like Roshar. So there were other characters there.
That's pretty cool.
Like at Disneyland. That is Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
And then next from Words of Radiance, chapters 7 through 12. First from Ald Chad. A quote from Sheta. I don't know they would mind what he did, talking about Amaram. Sheta, it's called murder and is generally frowned upon, even in a Lethe society.
What?
Well, you'll get more of that out of Sheta this time. The Amaran did nothing wrong, girl strikes again.
I did not say that.
That's your new catchphrase. That's what I
I'm
hear out of
saying-
you every week.
Let it go.
I don't know. Justin, I think that's not as much as you pro-genocide.
You're way
No.
worse.
No. I'm pure wiping away a filth people. It's not genocide. We're just trying to make the world a better place.
You want to kill everyone that's not a Lethe.
No.
You want
No. I want to kill everyone with weird eyebrows or weird singing cultures. If you've got a relatively normal thing going, you're okay as long as you keep your genes away from our society. That's all I'm saying. That's not anything bad.
Justin is racist on Roshar. All the rest of the planets, he was fine. Once he got to Roshar, that's when he...
Yeah, it's too
decided-
fucking weird. You got weird shit, man. No, thank you.
From Koval Petro 28. Guys, you have met a famous stick. I sympathize with Justin because of Yasna's death, because that was all my feelings about that scene. She
Mm-hmm.
had so much potential as a character that killing her seemed so redundant. Yasna is cool, and we needed more of her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bullshit. Still mad about it.
Yeah, sorry. I did wish Shallan was killed instead.
I did not say
What?
that. Jesus Christ, I never said that. I'd be pissed
I
if
will.
Shallan was killed, just less personally pissed.
Oh no, I'd be personally pissed if Shallan was killed. She's one of my favorite characters.
I know.
Sheta, just for you, just so you can understand how Justin feels, it'd be like if next chapter Adolin and Sadius just got killed.
No.
And not just got killed basically off screen, and then had a mystery about their death that has not been resolved. That gives you the smallest glimmer of hope, while also thinking if that thing was something, if there was a reason to hope, it would be stupid shit writing, and I wouldn't want to see it anyways. So I almost hope that it's not that, and it's just this limbo of annoyance the entire time. That's how it is for me.
Wow.
All right. Next from J. Ramirez 34. What if I commit arson with the Milestone comics?
What is this in reference to? Why are we
Well,
committing arson with the Milestone comic?
So, the end of the episode, you told everyone to commit arson, and I told them, go read all the comics going up to the milestones that we told you about.
Oh, well, let's hope those are some of the mass printed ones and not some valuable ones. That would be a bad idea. Like, the milestone of Amazing Fantasy 15. I'm going to commit arson with that.
Then from Etchine. I think you're giving Shallan way too hard of a time, to be honest. Turning the ship into water was absolutely the best possible thing she could do.
No way. No way in hell. No way in hell is there is no way she should be alive if not for some supernatural thing, because she and that chest didn't happen to wash up on shore. That was for some purpose. Something helped them. That's that's beyond what we're seeing, you know. There is no way in hell she should be alive if she just naturally plunged herself into the water. And I think everyone else on that ship she was trying to save is dead anyways. And all that research was lost. I don't know that I think she could fight her way out or anything, but she could try hiding. Not that that would work either necessarily. But turning the ship into water was an impulsive, foolish decision. And if there was not magic, well, I mean, obviously there's magic to turn it into water. But if there was not some hint of destiny about her, she would have rightfully frozen to death in the ocean. It was too cold to do that plan. 100%.
I feel that too. Like it felt really rash because they were in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like the you will die for sure in that ice cold water.
It's the ice cold water. If you weren't in the ice cold, maybe. But even so, being in the middle of the ocean, that's a death sentence. Humans cannot survive that, you know?
Yeah. Titanic.
Now, do I believe she would do that? I think that's fine. I'm not mad at her at the writing of it, you know? It made sense from her perspective, you know? But it was the worst goddamn plan in the world. Yasna would not have done that. That's all I can say.
Shallan also was trying to save the people up on that were being, slaughtered.
Yeah, I know. And they're all dead now. They all froze to death in the water. So I don't think she saved anybody. I get that she was panicked. I get she has almost no experience with this kind of thing, you know. But that was the worst plan.
I really wanted, I don't really know what she was thinking, but if I was in some kind of life or death situation like that, I think I would have gotten over my hangups and just shard bladed out.
Oh, well, we don't know what that is. It could be pretty severe, you know.
Yeah, but I think that she was pushed pretty far. I know I really wanted her to do that. I didn't think she would, but
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to say you could get over your hangups if you don't know what those hangups and traumas were.
I'm thinking, okay, here's my comparison to turning the ship into water. You're in the top of a building that is on fire, you know, and you think, okay, I'll escape the fire by jumping out the window. Now, yes, your brain is going to push you to jump out the window, but you're not going to survive, you know. You've just stopped yourself from burning to death to instead plummet to your death. And so that's my comparison. It's not like the alternative was much better, but jumping out the window is probably the worst plan from a purely tactical standpoint of how you're going to, if your goal is to survive. That's my closest comparison I can give to why I think it was bad. Now, if we ever get, because she thought, did that water thing bring me to the shore? I don't know if that's the case, but when or if we learn how it is she survived that, it will be very interesting to see if my thoughts on this change or if they're exactly the same or even more judgmental.
All right. And then one from Reader Warrior for this section of chapters. Y'all really thought Yasna and Shallan would quick travel to the camps? Ha 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 ha.
Fuck you. That's
Stop
my response
laughing at
there.
me.
Fuck you. Everyone
I'm
who laughed at
so-
us for that shit.
I
We were both
know.
excited to see it.
That's so. Yeah.
All right.
I've been wanting that since the end of the book, the last book.
Chapter 7. Yeah, turning the ship into water was a poor decision when it could have been fire.
That might have been the one plan that was worse. At least you would have kept warm.
I could think of worse plans. Like going up on the deck trying to fight them without any sort of weapons. That would be worse.
I don't think so. I just don't think it would have been worse. I think your chances would have been a little better because at least maybe they'd all accidentally slip and break their skulls by accident. You have at least that chance. They could have all had a heart attack, you know.
Did you see how overpowered Yasna was in the Way of Kings? We needed to nip that in the bud. Right. As a Navy brat, boat people are not jolly because they're usually forced to be there. After all, Navy stands for Never Again Volunteer Yourself.
I haven't heard that one.
Jolly sailors.
Chapter 8. It would also mean a man knows how to write, and such a thing is heresy to a born man like Dalinar. The writing on the wall.
Well, I don't think he's doing it. I think it's like what
his friend,
something communicating to him.
His God's friend.
Also, wasn't it written in glyphs? Because men can know glyphs.
I don't remember.
Where's Nick when you need him?
And then chapter 9. Why are you equivocating faith to Windspren with what Syl is when she's an honor spren, not a faith spren?
I don't know who said that, so I don't know.
I said that.
Oh. Well, then why are you doing that?
Because I'm thinking of colors of the wind, you know, like that kind of faith and that kind of, you know.
Just drift off. Just never finish the thought and we'll move on, okay?
You cut to inside my brain and it's just the wind blowing.
The colors of the wind blowing in your brain.
That's what's happening.
All right. Chapter 11. My allegiance is to Alethkar, to the Almighty.
My man.
I am a stick. The fandom loves this chapter. Brandon even did a special chapter on the stick.
Stick's great. I liked him a lot. I hope he gets a point of view chapter.
Ooh, well, that would be a good shirt too.
That's what it was. It was like a April Fool's Day where he's like, "Oh, here's a preview of an upcoming interlude," and it was just stick, and just the entire thing just said, "I'm a stick" over and over again.
That's awesome. I think the stick was great. As one of the first things to really see like what a simple object thinks of about itself and converse with it, I thought that was so how sure it was of being a stick. I thought was just amazing.
Yeah.
So I will embrace any kind of annoying fandom that comes along with it.
Right. Never let a fandom make you miss out on something that could be really fun and good.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes, Sheta. Be careful what you say there. Jesus.
Honestly, it might even be easier for the stick to become fire through soul stamping than soul casting in this instance. Because soul stamping is convincing something that it is not what it is, but what they stamped it to be. That it changed in the past. While soul casting is trying to change it now. See, while we are supposed to think that Shallan mimicking Yasna's confidence is good, it just reads to me as lording your eye color prejudice to those who are seen lesser in our system. Yeah, Kaladin's going to like her.
We don't know what Kaladin's type is exactly. And again, he did like his little neighbor girl.
All right. Chapter 12. Kaladin just invented the Velcro walls at carnivals.
I would never trust those.
The question is, will Amaram recognize Kaladin?
Yeah.
I think so. I think that face haunts his nightmares.
I don't think he will.
I
think
do.
that would
I
be-
think that he feels guilt over doing that. You know, I really think, and it's one of the most pivotal moments in Amaran's life. It's the day he got his shard blade. I think he will remember.
I'm going to be team
And-
he doesn't remember.
Well, one more thing, he let him go because he felt a mercy for him, you know? And I think he's always been afraid of that biting him in the ass. And this is the exact situation he was scared of.
You think so much of him.
Why was that? That's not thinking of him at all. That thinks he's weak. If he
that
did
he's a
more
whole
with his
person.
life, he wouldn't remember. Yeah, I do think he's a whole person. Yes, I do think that.
No, I think he's a light eyes person who has never really thought of anyone.
No. Everyone's a human.
Here's my evidence. He did a whole thing where he promised to keep Kaladin's brother alive. Didn't even remember him.
Yeah, but do you know what the difference is?
The shard blade. The shard blade.
The shard blade, and he has sent 1,000,000 young boys to their death. He only stole a shard blade that one time from a man who saved his life and did one of the most amazing feats of fighting he's ever seen in all of time. You know, the fact that he spared his life instead of just killing him shows that he's not evil, you know, but he made a choice there, you know, and I think it haunts him.
To me, I think throwing him away into slavery means, okay, he's gone forever. That's like the trash, you know. You're never going to see your trash again, you know.
Yeah, but it's going to haunt you. You're always going to wonder, that guy sure could fight. What if he hunts me down one day?
If you believe in the system that has kept you propped up, I think that you can live like that, you know. You can rely on it like that and still present yourself as a hero, you know. So I really think he's not going to remember him.
All right. And then from the theory segment, what if Amaram has magic powers now too?
That'd be fucking awesome. That would be so awesome.
That would be so unfair.
No. If Amaran has a spren and he's like one of the chosen ones rising up, and I just think that would be so cool. I really hope he gets to be a real character, point of view chapter and everything. He could be my favorite, I think.
Oh, no, how mean.
The version in my head is a very conflicted, unhappy, fascinating character.
Interesting. Oh, he's going to be the guy that Kaladin spars with? What a torturous fate.
None of that, no.
Oh.
Maybe the other surge Yasna had access to was scalability, and
she shrank
on my chest.
Or she shrunk down and she's like, okay, I just got to get over to the bandits and then I'll use my power stick. Wait, why is the boat turning to water? I'm dead.
All right. And then from the character of the week, I am a stick. Everyone picks the stick.
My man.
But the ship is a part of the crew.
Fuck the ship.
How can you like the stick and not the ship? I thought the ship was very endearing and sad.
You picked the ship.
Yeah. I know, but I think the same concept for that too. The ship is a little bit smarter, you know.
The ship was putting on too much airs for me. I liked the stick's humbleness.
He was proud of the work. I think that's pretty humble too. He's just a humble. I want to punch you.
For bad mouthing the ship.
Yeah, for appreciating the stick, but not also the ship.
I don't like when okay, this is totally nonsensical, but here's my feeling. I don't like when something man-made decides that it is alive. It really bothers me. I decide if it's alive. But a stick is not man-made. It's a natural thing. So I have an endearment towards it thinking of itself as an existing thing. It doesn't make any sense, but that's my feeling about it.
What about the Going Merry?
Well, that got kind of like imbued with an essence of that fairy thing that you get when you love your ship. That's a little different because the ship itself has a life to it, but it's a life we gave it. It didn't give it to itself. That's my difference there, if that makes any sense.
What do you mean? He didn't choose to give it to itself, but he's still doing his best, you know?
Did I break you, Sheta, with my nonsense logic? Did I finally give you a taste of your own medicine there?
Mayhap.
Also, we've been told since Emperor Soul that items have souls.
Yeah, well, I don't think they all should.
I thought it was really sad, and it was stupid of that he had to turn into water.
Well, if the crew winds up alive, then I can be more forgiving. If they're all dead, she lied to that boat.
All right, and then a quote from Sheta. Ah, Sill's being a good girlfriend. Raider Warrior, where in the Stormfather's lightning riddle creme cheeks did you get that?
What was she doing again?
She was helping Kaladin with something. I'll defend Sheta here.
Yeah.
It's still not actually dating Kaladin, but what she was doing was kind of good girlfriend behavior. She's the closest thing he has to a girlfriend.
Yeah, she's his concept girlfriend. We all have one.
All right. Congrats on finishing part 1 so quickly. Don't forget, you both guessed Eshonai was either Sill's true name, Kaladin's true name, or the Parshendi word for Surgebinder / Night Radiant.
Interesting.
Wow.
And it wasn't Kaladin's true name. It was you thought that was the name of Kaladin's order of Knights Radiant.
Yeah.
And that was the one where when you guys were saying that, I'm there like they've called him a Windrunner in past chapters, but I don't want to come in and correct you right now, so I'll just let it go.
Well, things can usually have more than one name, like a local name and like a Bible name.
Yep, so those are all our comments. People in the future, if you want to leave more comments, go ahead. Yep, and so let's look forward to next week. So next week, we're continuing this book, going with chapters 18 through 23. Got a bunch of chapters next week.
Ooh, 1823.
Yep, so that's what we have for this week's episode, everyone. So yeah, until next week, go out, read the chapters, and then, maybe, watch the show Lost. It's been a while. You forgot what happened. Go watch it again.
Or if you have watched it, watch that opening they did where they had the song, "We are lost on a tropical island."
And no further input on what she's talking about. That's what you're left with.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Zip,
Bye,
zip,
happy
what'd it
4th
do?
of July.